Leeds International School. English Language, Form 5 Lower, 3rd Midterm. Hello dear Form 5 students. In this video, I'm going to discuss the text H is for Hawk by Helen MacDonald. Scheme of work reference, pages 141 to 146. Learning objectives of this lesson are to understand the information and details given in the text, to identify key language devices in the text, to understand how language and structural devices engage the reader, to develop the ability to analyze language and give detailed comments on how it creates effects. Now let's begin. First, let me brief you about the extract and its writer. Helen MacDonald became an experienced falconer, bird handler, after the death of her father. She was attempting to accept his death and felt she needed a new hobby. The given extract tells us about the moment when she first meets the hawk she has decided to train. First, the man takes out a wrong hawk, then keeps it back and takes the correct one out. But she decides to take the first one instead of the second hawk, the one that was reserved for her. She is not just simply informing us about falconry, but this extract gives us the inner feelings of the writer. Before moving further, I want you to read the background and context box in page 141. This will give you an overall idea about the writer, the pain she was going through after the death of her father, how she tried to cope with her grief, about the book from which the extract is taken, and a slight idea about the bird species goshawk. Okay, now you have a basic idea about the extract. After that, take your book and read the extract. When reading, you have to read it slowly, trying to understand both the information and language used in it. After reading the extract, click to the link below to watch a detailed analysis of this passage. While watching the video, keep the student book with you and take down all or highlight all the important points you learn. Welcome back. You should have noticed that this passage consists of 8 paragraphs. Out of them, the 6th paragraph is exceptional. Though a paragraph, it contains only one word. We call such paragraphs single-worded paragraphs or isolated word paragraphs. Now, read the first 3 paragraphs in page 141 and 142 and answer these given questions. I have given the suggested answers in the next slide and you may compare them with. Here is another activity for you to do. Paragraphs 4, 5 and 6 give us detail about the 2 hawks the writer saw. Match these details with the relevant hawk. Now let's check the answers. High-pitched twittering, first hawk. Enormous, first hawk. Smokier and darker, second hawk. Wearing dresses, second hawk. Eyes were blank, second hawk. Wailed, second hawk. Larger and older, second hawk. Crazy in her stare, second hawk. Bright and distant, first hawk. Much bigger, first hawk. Feathers raised like scattered quills of a fretful poppetine, first hawk. Sound was unbearable, second hawk. Wings barred and beating, first hawk. Bareheaded, both hawks. Came out like a Victorian melodrama, second hawk. Like a thing in pain, second hawk. Now read the last paragraph of the text and answer these 3 questions. Here are the answers. You may have noticed that this last paragraph is written in both first person and third person to create special effect. The writer has used third person to describe herself. It is different from the rest of the passage because she has used first person up to that point. The description tells us about her mental and physical condition. She is desperate and trying to overcome some difficult stage in her life. Here I have given you some additional idea. Let's move on to the activities given in your student book. Turn to page 143 and try to fill in this table. Here are the suggested answers. Lines 7 to 8. Detail: a sudden thump, as if someone had punched it hard from within. What does this tell the reader? That the bird is powerful and aggressive. Lines 39 to 40. In one practiced movement, folding her wings, anchoring her broad feathered back against his chest. This tells the reader about the experience of the man and the expertise of the writer. Lines 49 to 50. Her beak was open, her hackles raised. Her wild eyes were the color of sun on white paper. This explains the beauty of the hawk. Lines 42-43. Had been hatched in an incubator, had broken from a frail bluish eggshell into a humid perspex box. The knowledge of the writer about how hawks are being hatched. Now you have to do activity 2 in page 144, which gives you an idea about the themes of this passage. Now compare your answers. Theme: beauty of the bird. Example, line 24 to 26. She's a conjuring trick, a fallen angel, like gold. Comment. MacDonald is completely fascinated, almost overwhelmed by the bird. Second theme. Fierce personality of the bird. Example, line 60 to 61. Like a Victorian melodrama, a sort of mad woman in the attack. The writer disliked her from the beginning. Third theme. Emotional reaction. Line 71 to 73. Slow panic. It was a monstrous breach. The confusion of the writer and also the doubt whether the man would agree for an exchange. This is very important. The language used by the writer. Because in your examination, you always have to discuss the effect of language used by the writer. The language of this passage is inventive and intense. The writer uses precise vocabulary and creative language figuratively with variety of sentence structures. Check your answers. Now, look at page 144 and do the activity 3 based on language and techniques. Compare your answers with the following. First technique, lists. Quotation, glitter on the waves, a diving cormorant. Effectuated. This makes us understand in detail the range and precision of the bird's vision. Simile. Like gold falling through water. Creates a visual imagery of the beauty experienced by the writer. Metaphors. A conjuring trick. Helps the reader to understand how fascinated the writer was. Short incomplete sentences. It was the wrong bird. Shows confusion, disappointment of the writer. Contrast. Article tells. Dry legal language contrast with the force of nature inside the box. Here are the techniques you came across in the activity with their examples and effect they create in the passage. Understanding the structure, page 145. Try to complete this table on your own. Now check your answers with this. The idea here is to show you that the passage is structured into sections based on the details they give. So there are 5 sections and the live reference and what the section is about are given here. Here are some writing tasks. Activity 5, page 146. Writing task 1. Making personal relationship with animals is the only way we can understand their nature. Write a magazine article giving your views on this statement. The article may include the advantages and disadvantages of such relationships. Any other points you wish to make. Your response will be marked for the accurate and appropriate use of vocabulary as well as accuracy of spelling and grammar. Writing task 2. How does the writer present the character of the hawks in the passage from H is for Hawk. You should write about the description of their appearance, the way they behave, the writer's use of language and techniques to convey this. You should refer closely to the text to support your answer. You may use brief quotations. Do both of these tasks. Before writing, you have to plan what you are going to write. Writing task 1 is a transactional essay topic which may appear in section 2 of paper 1. Before writing, you have to find points, arrange them in order, and always try to use techniques such as statistics, rhetorical questions, expert opinions, research details, and examples to support your writing. When writing, you have to consider the format too. Now, writing task 1 is a magazine article. Therefore, you should be writing it with a heading, subheadings, bullet pointed lists, and other layout features. Finally, exam style questions. You may find 2 questions in page 146. Question 1. How does the writer use language and structure to portray the birds and setting? You should support your answer with close reference to the passage, including brief quotations. Question 2. How does the writer create a sense of excitement? You should support your answer with close reference to the passage, including brief quotations. Remember, before answering these types of questions, you have to underline or highlight the keywords of the question. In this question, the keywords are language, structure, portray the birds, and setting. Next, you have to organize your answer. Here I have given you a rough idea. Paragraph 1. Discuss how the narrative style, first-person account, makes it personal. Express her thoughts, feelings, and experience clear to the writer. Paragraph 2. The detailed descriptions of the bird, the vivid, unusual imagery, the man involved, and the place. Discuss the use of emotive language, figurative devices, and varied sentence structures. Paragraph 3. The contrasting descriptions of the other bird. What are the language techniques used? Discuss using appropriate quotes. The description of the writer's feelings towards the first bird. The way the writer panics, how it is presented. What are the techniques used? Paragraph 4. The effects of using a one-word paragraph to show disappointed mixed with many other emotions. Discuss how the first-person account changes into third person, the effect it creates. Conclusion. Rephrase the question and briefly recap. Refer to the use of any other technique. Remember that it is very important to include suitable quotes using quotation marks. The quotes should not be very long. You can use ellipses to reduce the unnecessary words or phrases. Always focus on the keywords of the question and write them in your answer. You can use the last name of the writer when discussing about her. For example, MacDonald has expressed her inner feelings effectively using first-person narration. So we have come to the end of this lesson. Here is one more supportive link for your reference. Thank you for watching and good luck.